he is that. Again, the majority of the stars in the league can give you that night in and night out. Every now and then they'll have an off game, but for the most part, they give you that night in and night out.
Okay.
And they can go head to head against other stars.
Hey,
he went head to head with Durant.
He went head to head with Giannis.
right. So if he can hold his own against them dudes.
Yeah. I just had to remind myself, Game 6 of that Bucks series when Giannis had 44, Tatum dropped 46. So, yeah, and that was an absolutely amazing game. So, okay, so ultimately you still have Boston winning this series, correct?
I do.
Okay. Now, all right. This is not going to be as long an episode as normal, even though we're 35 minutes in. Cool. But there is something that he brought up last week on last week's episode. It's something that I did not pay a big amount of attention to. That was the Buffalo shooting.
Yes.
And as opposed to doing, as opposed to finding out more information about that, I am very, very, very angry about that situation. So a young 18-year-old white boy goes into a supermarket and kills 10 black people. First of all, and he lives through it. Mind you, let's stop there. He's still alive. He wasn't killed on sight like if it was somebody who was this skin complexion right here. But then on top of that, one of his family members comes out and says she believes the reason why he did what he did was because of COVID. Tony, please, take over.
I'm going to defer. I'm going to defer because I could say a whole lot.
I want you to say a whole
lot. No, but I'm going to defer to my lovely, beautiful wife on that subject.
Beautiful. How you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Wonderful to have you again. Wonderful to have you on the show again.
Thank you.
All right. Well, yes, you take over because when I heard that woman say, I thought it was because of COVID, I wanted to say, don't open your mouth again in life.
Exactly. She just needed to just erase herself because that's just beyond stupid. It's beyond stupid. COVID may cause a whole lot of things, but racism was definitely here way before COVID was.
Mm-hmm.
And that was nothing but a pure hatred. There's nothing but pure hatred and racism. He did what he wanted to do and knew that he would end up living through, and he did. Time and time again, that the system proves that the system isn't broken. The system is doing exactly what it's set up to do, what it's always been set up to do, and that's to eliminate melanated people and give a pass to the non-melanated. Plain and simple. Plain and simple. If it had been anybody, the fact that, when one of the managers of the place called and said there was a shooting going on, that the 911 operator hung up on her.
What?
And yeah. She when the shooting started happening, she tried to call 911. She was ducking down, and she said that when the shooting kept happening, she quietly tried to call 911. And when she was whispering, trying to let the operator know that there was a shooting going on, the operator was yelling at her, going, "Why are you whispering?" and hung up on her.
Wow.
So, the fact that happened, the fact that when the police showed up in their gear, that he was still in the midst of his crime, of his hatred, and had the weapon on him, and they brought him out. They very calmly patted him down several times, and whether or not they gave him water, because I read something about how they gave him water. I don't know if that part is true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, after all, Dylan Roof was taken to
Burger King. He was taken to Burger King, yeah.
Exactly. So it's just another sad day in what I always say is America, and I put KKK.
I know that's right. This is what the scary part is. First of all, I'm not even the notion of COVID. That's just stupid. Like that's
He
like
was.
that relative should be thrown in fucking jail. Excuse my language. And her husband, because he tried to be scientific with it. Shut up. Okay. The sad, scary part is that what people have been trying to lean and rely on for the past couple of years, particularly since all of the unrest 2 years ago, and it's hard to believe that it's been 2 years already since George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, and Breonna Taylor. But what people have been trying to lean on is the fact that, hey, these old white races are going to die out soon. So a lot of things are going to change. Here's the problem. That was a kid who did that. He was 18 years old. So somewhere along there's somewhere along the line where these old people who have all of this hatred through their heart, just because we're not the same skin color, who are old or whatever, and then old billionaires who have this hatred in their heart, they're passing this disease down to their heirs, to their family, to their loved ones, and it continues the seemingly never-ending cycle of this uncurable disease that America has called racism. The thing that pisses me off is that how many times do we give a white killer, and that's what he is, a white killer, the benefit of the doubt for their actions? Dylan Roof stopped at Burger King. This dude, it was COVID. It doesn't...
It's always some sort of excuse for them. If you are on if you're not melanated, then all of a sudden that's when they want to bring in, oh well, it was mental health. That's the kind of nonsense that's always screamed. And
all I'm gonna say is, if you want to see civil unrest start again, let this dude get off. Let this dude walk. You want to see civil unrest start again big time? Let this motherfucker walk. Excuse my language.
Exactly. And then what they'll do is they'll try to overshadow certain things, like with the new nonsense with Walmart and the Juneteenth ice cream crap, which I'm still trying to figure out who the hell was in the boardroom that said that was a good idea for that nonsense. But did you hear about that?
The Walmart
has put out a Juneteenth ice cream.
Really?
Yeah.
You know that Juneteenth falls on Father's Day this year?
Oh yes, it does. Well, yeah, they're trying to capitalize on that, and so they'll try to overshadow, something like with the Buffalo shooter, and they're like, oh, but look what we're giving y'all. We're so sick and tired of these little novelties and all this different. We want what we want. The thing is, what I've always said, to people that when they want to come out, oh, look at the melanated looking Band-Aids, and look at this, and look at that. I'm like, that's nice, but that's not what we asked for. I'll take it. I'll take the little token.
It's almost like, okay, we're gonna throw a bone at you to shut you up.
Exactly, but see, that's the thing. They're not shutting somebody up, because like somebody like me be like, okay, thank you. Now I asked what I asked for. I want what I want. Shut up. And I want what I want. And what black people in this country deserve is reparations. We deserve reparations, and we deserve it to be specific towards us.
Oh, you just read my mind. You just read my mind with that.
Yes. Reparations for enslaved Africans on American soil, because we have to make it specific, because if we just say reparations, then that tries to draw in other groups. Yep. I'm not trying to take away from any other group that was mistreated, but our atrocities in this country are very, very specific, and we are the only group that this country has continued to find ways, excuses to not give us reparations.
Exactly.
Even the Native Americans.
Yes.
Have received some form of reparation.
They got their own government.
Exactly. They're sovereign people. Plus, they're also allowed to open up casinos tax-free in a lot of areas. They have been given at least some form of reparations. We have been given nothing. Absolutely nothing. But for white folks, for them to turn around and tell us to kiss their behinds. That's the only thing that we have been given, and that is something. We also deserve anti-black hate laws. They came out with when things were going on with the Asians. They were.
You read my mind again. Woo! You read my mind again. I was just getting ready to say that. You see how quick that law was passed when a couple of Asians, and it wasn't right, when they were attacked due to COVID. It was not right. It shouldn't have happened. And the people who did it, because some of those people was black. They deserved every bit of punishment that they got. But you see how quickly that got passed. That didn't even take a month for that to get passed. Yet and still, President Biden played at our heartstrings saying, hey, I'm going to get the George Floyd Police Reform Act. Where that at? Ain't seen it. Ain't seen it, ain't heard it. Ain't seen it, ain't heard it.
Republicans shot it down. They literally brought it to the floor, but the Republicans in the Senate shot it down. The House okayed it. The Republicans in the Senate filibustered it.
Which always happens, unfortunately.
Which always happens.
Which shows again the mindset of where those particular people are, but yet how many, what kind of backing and following from our folks that resemble us.
To me, it goes to priority. To me, it goes to priority, and I used to talk about this on the podcast all the time. To me, I used to talk about during all that 2020 stuff that was going on. I talked about this on the podcast on a weekly basis. It goes about priority, and keeping African American people safe in this country is not a priority. It never has been a priority. These laws that were written were not for us. So does it surprise me that civil unrest happens, we're going to talk a lot of shit. Yeah, we're going to defund the police, George Floyd Policing Act, blah, 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 blah. But as soon as things tone down, it's going to be pushed to the back burner like anything else when it comes to protecting black people. It's pushed to the back burner because protecting us is not a priority.
It never has been.
It all boils down to the filibuster. You can want to do something, but if you are not in the supermajority, if you do not have a supermajority, one lone senator can stop yourself. And literally, that's what happened with the George Floyd situation. That's what when they were trying to change some of the policing things, the Republicans sent one of their lone Negroes, Tim Scott, Congressman Tim Scott, Senator, or is he Congressman? I can't remember which one he is.
Is that the dude from Tennessee, the one that everybody was mad about the Breonna Taylor thing?
He's from South Carolina.
South Carolina, okay.
To do negotiating, and by the time that negotiation got done, he had changed the narrative. The Democrats want to defund the police, and so we can't pass anything because we're not defunding the police. That's literally what they do. They'll change the narrative. You'll go in trying to pass one thing, and when it comes out, they'll go right on their TV networks, Fox or whatever, and say, "Tried to do this," to justify them shooting it down. So it doesn't fall on the current administration because, again, you can only do what you can do. The law, without the supermajority, literally, it gets killed. And for the white Republican from Utah or from deep in Georgia or Louisiana or Mississippi, they're in no danger of losing their jobs because their white constituents are in favor of that. Yeah. Let's stick it to the liberals. Let's not change any policing laws. White people, cops don't kill black people. Black people kill black people. That's the narrative that they believe, and that's the narrative that their congressman allows them to believe.
They love to throw that part all the time, talking about black people kill black people, that black people kill more black people than anybody else every year, blah, 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 blah. But then they conveniently, just skip over the fact that at least 85% of white people that are murdered every year are murdered by another white person. The stats are pretty much equal.
Right.
Okay?
The stats are equal. The stats are equal because, first of all, we're the minority in this country. So, in middle America, you have nothing but white people who are going to kill white people, unfortunately. The notion of black people kill black people, well, that's very true. It is very true. But it goes back to me, it's such a deep, it's a deeper vibe to that, we're people that have been, I know y'all seen Get Out. The sunken place. Black people have been in a sunken place since we came to this bitch. And anybody who was out of the sunken place, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton, they get killed. Okay, they get killed. And the good thing about today's day and age is that it is being brought to light. The sad part is that now it's more in your face. The things that we need, the things that we're looking forward to, that just gets turned down. Like you said, Tony, they one senator can shoot down anything that would be that would be perfect for what would be a good thing for black people. Morally, these people know that we have been done wrong forever. We kill each other because that's what we've been programmed to do. We've been programmed. Say what?
Let me give you an example. That your listeners can actually look up, and that proves my point. Rand Paul, who seems like he just exists there just to say no to whatever. I don't feel I'm having a bad day, so I say no. The anti-lynching bill.
Right.
Anti-lynching bill that the vast majority was in favor of. Why didn't it pass? Rand Paul alone.
Spell that out so my listeners can know.
Rand Paul. RANDPAUL. No relation to Jake or Logan.
I hate you.
This is the guy that when Fauci goes in front of Congress, he wants to make a jackass of himself and just, continually attack that man based on nothing. Based on nothing, just because he's there. But this is the dude that literally anything that has been favorable toward melanated people, indigenous people, he's going to say no. Like, he's going to say no. And in terms of Joe Biden being able to pass an executive action, well, people should have paid attention in government class. If defunding the police requires $1 of American taxpayer money, Joe Biden can't pass that executive action because only Congress can approve money being doled out for anything. So there's that. He can't just executive act and say, hey, we're going to do this and this in terms of the police. You can't do it.
And just to educate those who may be listening, and if I'm wrong, definitely Tony, tell me. Or Mrs. Tony. I'm sorry. I need your actual name. Otherwise, I'm just gonna call you wife or Tony's wife.
Avis.
Huh?
Avis.
Say it one more time.
Avis, like the rent-a-car company.
Oh, Avis. Okay. I got you. The Anti-Lynching Act was a bill that was brought up about over 60 years ago. Something that's still in play now. Think about that. A bill that was brought up over 60 years ago. Longer. This bill was brought up way before any of us who you listening to right now was even thought about. And it's still an issue.
Think about how they just passed a bill saying that it's illegal to discriminate against someone for how their hair grows out of their head.
I remember that. Because these jobs were firing black women because of their hair. Yep, I do remember that. That was a couple years ago. Yep. And
they just passed the law. And the crazy thing is I do appreciate very much where it is that I work because I work for one of the local health departments, and racism is considered a public health issue. So we have these conversations all the time at work, and one of the things that we also talked about before COVID, we were able to get into the office a little bit more. We would have these conversations about hair and when did black hair become illegal and those different things and considered unprofessional. And so I felt that I really appreciate the fact that I felt that I was able to speak kind of freely in a room of faces that look like mine and did not look like mine, including the at that time our medical director as well that had joined us in there. And based on some of the feedback that people have said, we can see that that they have updated and they wanted to definitely make sure that certain things are addressed to make sure that people do not confuse different things and say, no, this is okay. You should not have to worry about this. because I told them flat out that when I went in for my interview, I literally was trying to figure out, should I wear my hair natural? Is it going to be okay if I wear my hair natural? Or should I go ahead and straighten this? Should I wear a wig? What should I do?
Right.
And just in case, I think I straightened my hair for that interview and got the job. But then when I actually started working there, I started seeing a lot of sisters with their natural hair and then also wearing hats and things. And I was like, really, I was really pleasantly surprised. I was able to start wearing my hair natural. I wore hair wraps if I wanted to, and it was not an issue. And I was so thankful.
Hell yeah. Get it?
A couple jobs that I've had that I literally, would talk to my coworkers about, hey, we back on the plantation again. I see you again.
No, I remember hearing about that. Like, that was a big thing. That people were being fired, they were being discriminated on because of the way they wore their hair. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, come on now. Like, stop discriminating on the motherland, man. That's where we come from, man. Stop.
Exactly. And our hair grows the way that our hair grows.
Exactly. Stop doing that.
We're people of the sun, and our hair grows towards the sun. Don't be jealous.
Don't hate. I mean, if you go sit there and get a tan, then you trying to be like a person from the sun, dummy.
Exactly. They will go get tans. They'll put all their collagen in their lips and their behind. They so much want to look like and be like us until.
I mean, because one thing I tell anybody, and I guess I'm kind of glad that today is a video where you can actually look at me straight in the face and look at my eyes, and people who know me, particularly with the shirt that I got on, know where I come from and know that there's nothing but love in my heart. There's nothing racist about me. Nothing more racist about me than the next man. That's all I'm going to say.
Exactly.
I'm a joker. I'm a joker.
Exactly.
I'm a joker.
I love our people.
I'm a clown.
And I don't like the way that this country.
Right. Exactly. I'm a joker. I'm a clown. I'd make jokes that might make some people uncomfortable, but you know what? I'm me. I don't care because there's no malice in my heart. But one thing I am not is blind. Okay? One thing I'm not gonna be is blind. And I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, I've got 5 white friends, because that's a racist ass statement to say. I love everybody. And if you know me, you know I love everybody. But one thing people have to start loving and accepting is the truth. The truth hurts like a bitch, but the truth can also set you free.
Yep.
Okay? Now, depending on your situation, the truth can set you free from employment. But either way, when it comes to this subject, the seemingly irreversible, ugly disease that is worse than AIDS, worse than COVID, worse than any disease you can ever catch, the disease of racism. We have to be honest about it, particularly in America. I can't speak for any other country on this planet because I ain't never been there. I can speak about the what I have seen, what I have experienced on this country, and it's real. It's a ugly disease. And one thing that I cannot do, as much as I like to make jokes, I'm not gonna be blind. And the fact is that the American Negro has been on the back burner for 400 years. Matter of fact, 300 years ago, we weren't even on the back burner. We hadn't even gotten that far yet. Okay?
They were trying to put us on the back burner.
Okay? What people have to understand, that when stuff like this happens in Buffalo, it is simply a microcosm of the feelings that have been harbored towards people of melanin descent since we arrived in Jamestown. And think about Virginia. Think about Virginia. You know, if there's any place that should have protests and civil unrest, it started in this bitch. It started here. The disease of racism in the United States of America started here in Virginia.
Yep.
Okay? So my job has had me working downtown. I was in the fan the last 3 days going up and down Monument Avenue. And I'm like, wow, ain't this some shit? Most of these statues are gone. You know what? Okay, now what? That's the way I look at it. Now what?
Look, before we actually moved here, I mean, it was definitely a shock to me, because when we first got down here, looking at the school calendar, and at that point they had Lee slash what's the other dude's name? Lee Jackson,
Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, and it also had King Day. I said, wait a minute. I said, they done put Dr. King last on his day. Are you serious? and then my kids and my sister, we all went to Verina Day. And so, Community Day, I'm thinking, okay, cute day for the kids, get out, do different games and things. Next thing I see these two people walking around looking like plantation owners.
Yeah, I could have told you that one. Verina Day, and I'm from Highland Springs.
Yeah, and then they had a mock Confederate campsite set up down there by the lake. And I looked at my sister, I was like, are we at the right place? Are we supposed to be here?
You probably saw some people looking like Colonel Sanders up in that joint.